I don't know how this happened, but we're already in November, so it is time for the October reading wrap up. I am recovering from a pretty gnarly cold, so I'm gonna try to do this quickly while my voice is still here. I started the month off with reading Upon a Starlit Tide by Kel Woods. This is like a Little Mermaid Cinderella retelling. It reads like historical fiction, but in a fantasy setting, and I thought this author did a really good job of making those stories her own. I thought it was beautifully written. I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I feel like the setup for this book was really well done, but the execution was kind of weak. Then I read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. This is a short little classic about an old man trying to catch a massive fish on his little tiny boat. While I thought the concept was really interesting, I feel like I had a really hard time reading this book and being interested in it. I feel like it was a disappointment to me because I expect a book that won a Pulitzer Prize to be like a life-changing experience, and it really wasn't. Then I read Holly by Adeline Grace. This is a short holiday novella that is set in the Belladonna world, and I was kind of disappointed in it. It felt like a fan service book that really had no substance, and it didn't give me the same vibes that Belladonna and Foxglove did, so it felt like a completely separate story that wasn't even related to the original trilogy. I gave this book 3 stars as well. Then I read In These Hallowed Halls, which is a book of dark academia short stories written by a bunch of different authors that are like prominent in this genre. I gave this one 2.5 stars. There wasn't a single story in this book that really stood out as being actually good. They were all pretty mediocre, and in fact a few of them were kind of bad. I also read books 9 and 10 in the Mercy Thompson series, which were Fire Touched and Silence Fallen. I love these books. I feel like they just get better and better the farther I get into the series. I highly recommend them. They're 4 stars each. Then I read Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber, which is a fantasy set in like the Gilded Age, and this is her adult fantasy debut. And I struggled with this one a little bit. I feel like it's meant to be an adult fantasy, but the plot progression, the character development still read as young adult. And I feel like it didn't really work with the setting that she created. I give this book 3 stars. Then I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is like a foundational dark academia book for the genre, and I surprisingly really enjoyed this book. I feel like at no point did I really want to put the book down. I was really invested in the characters, really invested in the plot. I did struggle with the ending a little bit, but it felt necessary to the story. It's just not really my cup of tea, and I gave this book 3.5 stars. Then I read An Arc of Silver and Blood by Jessamine Mihalich. This is a fantasy romance written by an author who typically writes sci-fi romances, and I would say that this book is just a regular fantasy romance. Nothing about it really stood out, and it was a little disappointing because I feel like the author's strong suit is her sci-fi romances, so I gave this book 3 stars. Then I read The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. This is a collection of nonfiction short stories that he wrote. And this book reads like shower thoughts, but maybe a little bit more research and a little bit more articulated than most shower thoughts are. But a lot of these stories didn't really feel relevant and really like topics that I connected with, so I gave this book 3.5 stars. And that is my wrap up. Perfect timing to end this because I do feel like my voice is already going.